Hey guys, tonight we're diving into how the Stoics found their peace before sleep. Imagine, it's been a long day. You've carried the weight of your thoughts, your decisions, your responsibilities. And now, the night is creeping in, quiet and still. Can you feel that? The weight of the world gently lifting as the darkness takes over. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers of wisdom, practiced ways of unwinding that might just surprise you. They didn't just rush through the night, crashing into sleep. No, they had a ritual, one of reflection, peace, and letting go. And you probably won't survive this kind of ancient calm in today's fast-paced world. But let's give it a try. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, drop your location and the time there. It's always interesting to see where and when people are joining in from. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. As the evening sets in, the Stoic philosophers began to wind down, but not with any rush. They understood the value of a quiet transition, a moment to pause and reflect on the day. You see, they knew that before sleep could come, the mind needed to be prepared. No buzzing thoughts of what went wrong or what still needed doing. They didn't simply fall asleep in the rush of exhaustion. Instead, they took time to unwind. You too might need this quiet moment to settle, don't you think? To let the pressures of the day drip away, like water down a smooth stone. Historians still argue whether ancient Stoics followed this exact nightly ritual, but the basic idea is clear. They were determined to carve out peace. Just think, at the end of each day they didn't just toss and turn, waiting for sleep to take over. They actively prepared their minds for it. They didn't leave their daily worries at the door. They acknowledged them, reflected on them, and let them go. Imagine yourself following the Stoic routine, sitting quietly in your room, reflecting on the events of your day. It's not about judging yourself, it's about observing the flow of your actions. Did I live according to my principles? You might ask yourself, was I patient today? Did I show wisdom in my choices? How can I do better tomorrow? That moment of reflection, the stillness, allowed the Stoics to rid themselves of the day's stress, turning the ordinary into a quiet practice. When the day was done, they could sleep, truly sleep. They didn't allow lingering worries to keep them up at night. What if you followed their example? What if, before bed, you too took a moment to ask yourself, what do I need to let go of? Could it change the way you sleep? Now, think of your own day. Perhaps you've rushed from task to task, jumping between responsibilities. Maybe, like most of us, you haven't had the chance to slow down. What would it feel like to leave your worries at the door, even just for tonight? Could this simple practice transform your sleep? You see, the Stoics didn't see sleep as just a natural part of the day. They treated it as something sacred, a final pause to reflect and cleanse their minds. They weren't interested in chasing sleep. They were interested in preparing for it, aligning themselves with a peaceful ending. This wasn't about magical thinking or getting into the perfect sleeping position. This was about making peace with the day and allowing rest to come naturally. For the Stoics, it wasn't just about physical rest either. It was mental rest too. They weren't just tired. They were ready. They were ready to let go of what they couldn't control, to accept what had been, and to prepare for tomorrow. Can you feel the difference between rushing through your day and letting it slowly fade into a peaceful night? Before we get to the rest of their evening practices, let's pause. You've spent this time reflecting on your own day, your actions, your worries. How does that feel? Is there a sense of release in your body now? A softening around your shoulders? Imagine carrying that sense of peace with you as you prepare for sleep. As you begin to settle, let's explore how the Stoics took this quiet moment of reflection to heart. They were masters at observing, but not judging their actions. You may be surprised to learn that, before they could truly rest, they would spend time reflecting on their day in what's known as evening reflection or self-examination. This wasn't just a casual glance at their actions. This was a deep, meaningful process where they would ask themselves, what did I do today that was aligned with my values? Or where did I fall short of my ideal? This process helped clear the mind, much like decluttering a messy room before trying to sit in it. Historians still argue whether all Stoics followed this practice, but figures like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca were proponents of this ritual. Marcus, for example, wrote in his Meditations about the importance of examining the day's actions, and Seneca frequently reminded his readers of the power of self-reflection before the nightfall. Now, picture yourself in a similar scenario. It's been a busy day, and the hours are fading. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through your phone or zoning out, you pause. You close your eyes, take a slow breath, and reflect on your actions. No judgment, no self-criticism, just an honest assessment. Maybe you were short-tempered with someone, or perhaps you acted out of kindness when you didn't have to. Either way, it's all part of the human experience. The Stoics knew that without this reflective pause, the mind couldn't relax. They treated this as an essential part of the wind-down process. Without it, their minds remained cluttered, and the rest that they craved, true sleep, would elude them. This practice isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. When you observe your actions, you gain clarity, and when you let go of the tension associated with those actions, you open the door to a peaceful night's sleep. Imagine yourself breathing deeply, gently letting go of all the mental chatter. Your body feels lighter as each breath carries the day's burdens farther away. Can you feel that sensation of release? You see, by acknowledging their choices, the Stoics cleared their minds for the next day. They didn't dwell on the past, but used reflection as a tool for learning, not self-punishment. As you reflect on your own day, what can you learn? Maybe tomorrow, you'll act a little differently, or maybe you'll carry the same peace into the day ahead. This nightly ritual doesn't just help you sleep. It also helps you grow. It's a tool for becoming more aware of who you are, how you respond to the world, and how you interact with the people around you. But don't be fooled. This isn't a quick fix. It's a process, and it takes time. Historians are still debating how deeply these practices were ingrained in Stoic daily life. However, the practice of evening reflection wasn't unique to the Stoics. Other cultures embraced it too. Many spiritual traditions, from Buddhism to Christianity, encourage reflection as a means of calming the mind before sleep. But the Stoics were particularly keen on the idea that this wasn't just a spiritual practice. It was an intellectual one. It wasn't about feeling good. It was about gaining insight into your own nature, understanding your thoughts, and ultimately, finding peace. And here's the thing. The Stoics didn't see reflection as a solo endeavor. They often did it as part of a larger practice of self-discipline. If they spent their evenings reflecting, it was because they knew that the mind needed a certain level of care and attention before sleep. If they didn't engage in this process, their minds would stay active, restless, and agitated. So, as you reflect tonight, let the Stoic practice guide you. Ask yourself how you've acted, where you've succeeded, and where you could do better. This isn't an opportunity to punish yourself. It's a chance to understand yourself, to clear the clutter in your mind, and to invite peaceful sleep. As the Stoics embraced reflection, they also practiced something deeply important: the art of letting go. It's easy to think of letting go as something passive, just ignoring the chaos of the day and hoping for peace. But for the Stoics, letting go was an active, deliberate choice. They understood that not everything in life was within their control, and that sleep, true, restful sleep, could only come if they freed themselves from the day's weight. This wasn't just about clearing their minds of worries. It was about acknowledging that certain things were simply out of their hands. "We must learn to let go of what we cannot change," wrote Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, as he outlined his views on accepting what the universe hands us. To the Stoics, sleep wasn't a way to escape reality. It was an opportunity to reset, to release the emotional burdens that we carry unnecessarily. They believed that releasing these burdens was essential, not just for rest, but for living a more peaceful, purposeful life. You too can adopt this practice before sleep. Think about the events that happened today. Was there something that bothered you? Something you're carrying with you into the evening? Now, ask yourself, is there anything I can do about it right now? Probably not. And that's the point. The Stoics didn't waste their energy on things they couldn't control. They actively chose to let go of them. They believed that only by doing so could they approach rest with a clear, open mind. Think about that for a moment. What are you holding on to right now as the night falls? What thoughts or worries are you dragging with you? It could be work, a conversation, or even something you're planning for tomorrow. These things are important, but they don't need to be with you in bed. In fact, bringing them to sleep only keeps your mind racing, making it harder for you to rest. The Stoics would argue that these things are simply beyond your control right now. So why carry them? Not telling. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning your responsibilities or ignoring your feelings. It means acknowledging that some things need time to resolve, and that right now, sleep is the best thing you can do to help clear your mind for tomorrow. In a way, it's a small act of trust. You trust that you've done what you could for the day, and now it's time to let go of the rest. Here's a curious thing about the Stoic mindset. Many historians believe that their sense of peace wasn't just a philosophical concept. It was a necessity for survival. Life in ancient Rome was harsh, and many people faced constant uncertainty. The Stoics, in their wisdom, found that peace came not through changing the world around them, but through adjusting their reaction to it. Their lives, filled with turmoil and unpredictability, required them to master the art of letting go in order to find any semblance of calm. Now, imagine letting go of all the things you can't control as you drift off to sleep. What would that feel like? The idea is to physically release that tension, to breathe deeply and allow your body to unwind, letting the stresses of the day melt away. Let your shoulders relax. Let your hands soften. Picture yourself gently lowering the weight of each thought, each worry, until they slip from your mind like sand falling through your fingers. And as you do this, allow yourself to sink deeper into the bed, into comfort, into rest. Historians still debate whether all Stoics practice this deliberate release of burdens every evening. But it's clear that for some, this was key to achieving the peacefulness they so greatly valued. Even Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in the Roman Empire, wrote about the necessity of releasing what was outside of his control. He didn't have time to dwell on things he couldn't fix. He had an empire to manage. But the one thing he could control was his mindset. And that's exactly what he cultivated before sleep. So, as you prepare for sleep, try to mirror this practice. What are you carrying with you that doesn't belong in bed? What can you let go of tonight? Sleep, after all, is not just a rest from the body. It's a rest for the mind. The Stoics knew that. As the Stoics worked through their reflections and consciously let go of the day's burdens, they also understood the importance of deep, mindful breathing. In fact, breathing was central to their entire practice of calmness. If you've ever noticed how your body can feel tense or restless before bed, you're not alone. Many of us hold tension in our muscles or clench our jaws without realizing it. But the Stoics, ever practical, used a technique to calm the body that is still widely recommended today. Slow, deliberate, deep breathing. This was no mere act of inhaling and exhaling. It was a way to center the mind and body, preparing both for a peaceful rest. Epictetus, one of the leading Stoic philosophers, wrote about breathing as a tool for emotional control, something that could ground the body when emotions ran high. If you were anxious or upset, he believed, you could find tranquility simply by focusing on your breath. A calming breath would remind you that, like the rise and fall of your chest, life too ebbs and flows. And just as easily as you can breathe in, you can breathe out what no longer serves you. Now, imagine yourself at the edge of your bed, the moonlight creeping through the window, casting soft shadows across your room. You sit for a moment, taking the time to focus solely on your breath. The Stoics would have reminded you that this act is not only physical, it's also mental. The slow, measured inhale and exhale symbolize your release from the frenetic energy of the day. Each breath is an opportunity to reset. You inhale deeply, filling your lungs with air, and slowly exhale, releasing any tension that remains. Can you feel the calmness entering your body with each breath, pushing away the worries and stresses that have been building up? Historians still debate whether the Stoics had a specific breathing technique they followed, but it's likely they practiced something very similar. Ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, especially those in the schools of Stoicism and other philosophical traditions, were keenly aware of the body's connection to the mind. Physical relaxation was seen as a vital part of emotional health. And what better way to prepare for sleep than by focusing on the breath? The simplest, most immediate way to center yourself? The Stoic approach to breathing wasn't just for sleep. It was a way of life. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often wrote about focusing on the present moment, and breathing deeply could help accomplish this. By pausing to inhale and exhale fully, you bring yourself into the now. You don't need to fix everything, control everything, or rush into the next moment. You just need to breathe, calmly and deeply, reminding yourself that it's okay to pause, it's okay to rest. Take a moment right now. Breathe deeply, slowly. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. You're letting go of everything you've been holding on to. Feel the air fill your lungs, and let the stress melt away with every exhale. As you do this, you might begin to notice the gradual release of physical tension. Your shoulders may relax, your jaw may unclench, your breathing becomes softer and slower. This is the Stoic practice of calming the body through breath. Historians still argue over whether ancient Stoics formally practiced this kind of breathing ritual. But it's clear that this approach, centering oneself through breath, was essential to their philosophy. If nothing else, it was a way to invite the body and mind to slow down, to rest, to reflect. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. So, as you lie back in your bed, continue this deep breathing. Allow it to carry you further into a calm, peaceful state. As you breathe in, you're inviting the calmness of the evening in. And as you breathe out, you're releasing everything you don't need. Every worry, every stress, every thought that might keep you up tonight. Let the rhythm of your breath become the rhythm of your sleep. As you continue to breathe deeply and relax into the present moment, the Stoics also understood the importance of mastering one's desires, especially before sleep. You might not realize it, but our desires, whether they're for food, entertainment, or even rest itself, can stir up restlessness in the mind. The Stoics, however, approached these desires with remarkable control. They didn't see desire as inherently bad, but they did believe in the importance of managing it, particularly when it came to quieting the mind before sleep. One of the key principles in Stoic philosophy is the idea of self-control. This self-control isn't just about not indulging in excess. It's about aligning your actions with your values and needs, not your whims. Before bed, the Stoics would intentionally turn their focus away from indulgent thoughts about things they wanted, and instead focus on the present, on what they already had. This act of turning away from want and focusing on sufficiency is key to allowing yourself to fully rest. After all, if you're always thinking about what you lack, How can you ever find peace in the moment? No. No. Take, for instance, the teachings of Seneca, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers. Seneca believed that we are often slaves to our desires. Whether it's the need for approval, the hunger for wealth, or the need to be entertained. And those desires, if left unchecked, will keep our minds spinning long into the night. But by practicing self-control, especially at the close of the day, we free ourselves from these endless cycles. We allow ourselves the luxury of peace, and when we stop grasping for more, we are ready for true rest. Now, think about your own desires. Maybe you want to check your phone one last time, or maybe you're thinking about tomorrow's to-do list. The Stoic approach here is simple. Let it go. Before sleep, consciously choose to let go of these desires, just as you let go of the day's burdens. You've already done enough. You're not missing out on anything. In fact, it's the very act of letting go that brings you closer to rest. Historians still debate the extent to which ancient Stoics practiced this strict self-control, but it's clear that many of them had a deep understanding of how desires can rob you of peace. In a world that often encourages constant consumption and wanting more, the Stoics stood in stark contrast. They didn't want more. They wanted peace. And by shifting their focus away from indulgence, they created the mental space to be at ease before sleep. You too can practice this simple act of turning away from desire before sleep. Try setting aside the things that pull at you, whether it's the temptation of the screen, the desire to make plans for tomorrow, or the yearning for something else entirely. Instead, take a deep breath, center yourself, and realize that everything you need is right here, right now. You're not missing anything. Everything can wait. This practice doesn't just prepare you for sleep, it prepares you for life. By learning to master desire in the small moments, you can create lasting peace. And isn't that what the Stoics were all about? Learning to find tranquility in the everyday, in the small, seemingly insignificant moments. And so, as you lie there, ready to let go of the day, take another deep breath and remind yourself, everything is okay just as it is. You've already done your best today, and now it's time to rest. All the desires, all the wants, they can wait. And as you focus on your breath and let go of the day's desires, notice how your body begins to relax even further. The tension in your shoulders and jaw starts to ease. Your mind, once full of distractions, grows quieter, like a calm lake after a storm. With each breath, you move closer to the tranquility the Stoics cherished, and closer to the peaceful sleep that awaits you. As you continue to settle deeper into the night, releasing your desires and focusing on your breath, the Stoics would also have encouraged you to live simply. This was one of the cornerstones of their philosophy. In a world filled with distractions, excess, and unnecessary complexity, the Stoics believed that the path to true peace lay in embracing simplicity. And that simplicity, it turns out, was not just about material possessions. It was about mental simplicity, too. The Stoics knew that before sleep, the mind had to be unburdened, not just by external things, but by unnecessary thoughts and overcomplications. For many of us today, the end of the day is filled with swirling thoughts. Thoughts about work, family, worries, and plans. But the Stoics knew that to sleep peacefully, these thoughts needed to be distilled down to their simplest form. Marcus Aurelius, who had an empire to run, understood the importance of a simple mind. His meditations often spoke of shedding unnecessary thoughts, stripping away all but what was essential. He focused on what truly mattered and let go of the rest. Now, imagine the simplicity of this. Instead of letting your mind race with all the things you need to do, you focus only on what is truly important. Think of your day. What really mattered? What can you let go of right now, in this quiet moment? Perhaps your work worries aren't as important as your peace. Maybe that anxious feeling about tomorrow doesn't deserve a place in your bed tonight. The Stoics would say that by simplifying your thoughts and your focus, you will allow the mind the clarity it needs to rest. Historians have long discussed whether the Stoics' approach to simplicity was as radical as they made it seem. Some believe that their lifestyle of minimalist simplicity was one of necessity, given the often harsh conditions of their time. Others suggest that it was a deliberate and philosophical choice, a way to detach from the chaos around them. Either way, it's clear that the Stoics understood one thing deeply. The mind, like the body, needs space to breathe. And that space comes from simplifying. As you lie there, think of how you might simplify your own life. Instead of holding on to the clutter of thoughts, what if you focus solely on the present moment? The Stoics saw value in shedding distractions, even in their private moments, so they could fully experience the quiet of the night. What if, just for tonight, you too chose to simplify your thoughts, like they did? Could you sleep more peacefully if you embraced this simplicity? The process of mental simplification isn't something that happens instantly. It takes practice, but you can begin with small steps. Perhaps as you reflect on your day, you realize that many of the things weighing on your mind are simply unimportant. Maybe you're worrying about something that has no immediate bearing on your sleep. By focusing only on what truly matters, you create the mental space for peace. Imagine that. By simplifying your thoughts, by shedding the excess, you've opened the door to peaceful rest. And the best part, you've just created a space for the simplest form of tranquility, sleep. The Stoics believed that by embracing simplicity, they could rest more deeply. And perhaps you will too. As you practice this simple act, you might find that the more you let go of distractions, the more your body naturally relaxes. Your breath becomes softer, your thoughts quieter, and soon, sleep feels like a natural, peaceful progression. You're no longer fighting with your mind or body. You've made room for peace. So, before sleep takes you fully, let go of the need to complicate things. Allow yourself to just be. As the Stoics would say, let the world go for a while. Let simplicity reign joy. And when you do that, sleep will come as naturally as the setting sun. As you lay there gently breathing, letting go of the day, and simplifying your thoughts, the Stoics would have reminded you of something profound, accepting the imperfections of the day. This might sound counterintuitive. After all, shouldn't you be aiming for perfection? But the Stoics, in all their wisdom, understood that life is full of imperfection, and that accepting these imperfections is a crucial step toward inner peace. Before sleep, the Stoics would reflect on the day's events, not with harsh judgment, but with acceptance. They didn't expect every day to be perfect. They didn't expect every action or interaction to go smoothly. What they did expect, however, was to accept the imperfections. Perfection is not required. Progress is, they might say. This acceptance, this gentle understanding that things didn't always go according to plan, helped them sleep soundly, free from the burdens of unmet expectations. Picture this. As you prepare for sleep tonight, you reflect on your day. Maybe things didn't go as planned. Maybe you had a difficult conversation or didn't accomplish everything you wanted to. Instead of clinging to disappointment or frustration, you simply accept it. You tell yourself, I did my best today, and that is enough. This is the essence of Stoic acceptance. It's about letting go of the urge to judge every moment, every outcome, embracing the idea that imperfection is a natural part of life. Historians have long debated whether the Stoics' acceptance of imperfection was a form of resignation, or if it was a powerful act of mental freedom. The Stoics would argue that accepting imperfection frees the mind from the endless cycle of striving for unattainable standards. Marcus Aurelius, for example, often wrote about the inevitability of imperfection, and how it was through accepting it that one could maintain peace of mind. He saw accepting the imperfections of others and of oneself as the key to finding harmony with the world. Now, let's think about your own day. Did you encounter moments of frustration or disappointment? Maybe something didn't go as planned, or you missed an opportunity. The Stoic way isn't to dwell on these imperfections or beat yourself up about them. It's to acknowledge them, accept them, and let them go. You don't need to fix everything tonight. You don't need to hold on to the disappointment. Instead, you accept it as part of your human experience. Imagine the relief you might feel by doing this. By accepting the imperfections, you release the tension in your body and mind. Your mind doesn't need to continue working overtime to process what didn't go right. Instead, you let the thoughts fade away, knowing that tomorrow offers another chance. The Stoics understood this concept deeply. They didn't dwell on what was out of their control, and they didn't allow life's imperfections to keep them from restful sleep. As you prepare to drift off, try this. Say to yourself, "Today was imperfect, but I am at peace with it." Let the words settle in, allowing the acceptance to wash over you. With each breath, imagine releasing the tension tied to today's events. Picture the imperfections floating away, like leaves carried downstream by a gentle river. Let them go. Sleep will come easier when you let go of the need to control everything, when you make peace with what is. By accepting the imperfections of the day, you make room for peace. You release the need to chase perfection, and you welcome the tranquility of knowing you've done enough. This is what the Stoics understood. Peace comes not from achieving perfection, but from accepting the inevitable flaws of life. As you continue to relax, the Stoics would have encouraged you to embrace the present moment fully. It's tempting to worry about the future, to replay past mistakes, or to fantasize about what might happen next, but the Stoics knew that peace comes from living in the now. Right here, right now. Before sleep, they would focus on the present moment, deliberately releasing any thoughts of the future or the past. In fact, they believed that the key to peace and to restful sleep lay in how well they could stay anchored in the present. Seneca wrote extensively about the importance of living in the present, free from the burdens of either the future or the past. "We are always the same age in the present moment," he said. The Stoics understood that we cannot control what has already happened, and we certainly cannot control what will happen tomorrow. The only thing we have control over is how we react to the present moment, and they believed that this was the true path to peace. Imagine for a moment that you stop looking at the clock or your phone, stop worrying about tomorrow's tasks, or what happened earlier today. Instead, focus on the here and now. The sensation of the air against your skin, the softness of your sheets, the rhythm of your breath. As you breathe in and out, you are immersing yourself in the present moment. You aren't racing towards sleep. You are allowing it to happen naturally. The Stoics would have reminded you that sleep doesn't need to be forced. It comes when you're not preoccupied with your anxieties. Historians often argue about the specifics of the Stoic approach to mindfulness. But one thing is certain. The Stoics believed deeply in the power of living in the moment. They practiced mindfulness long before it became a popular term. Their teachings about focusing on the present were designed to help individuals detach from the noise and distractions that often kept them from inner peace. You may have experienced this feeling of being lost in thought, your mind jumping from one worry to the next. Perhaps you felt the strain of juggling responsibilities, or the pressure of unfinished tasks. The Stoics, however, would suggest that none of these thoughts belong in your bed, in your rest. Before sleep, they would say, focus only on what is happening now. This was their form of mindfulness. By focusing on the present, they created space for tranquility, for sleep, and for peace of mind. Now, close your eyes and let go of all those fleeting thoughts. Don't push them away. Just gently let them float by like clouds in the sky. Focus instead on your breath, on the warmth of the bed, on the quiet of the night. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. The Stoics would say this moment is enough. You are enough. Letting go of the need to control everything and allowing yourself to simply be in the present moment can create a deep sense of peace. And when you find peace in the present, you'll find that sleep follows naturally, effortlessly, without strain. The Stoics weren't worried about forcing sleep. They understood that peace in the present moment brings the best kind of rest. So as you lie there, sinking deeper into the night, remember, the present moment is all you have. Let go of your worries about the future or the past. Allow yourself to just be. In this space, sleep will come. Not because you forced it, but because you gave yourself the gift of living in the now. Now that you've let go of the day's burdens and focused on the present, there's one last Stoic principle that may seem simple, yet is profoundly effective. The wisdom of a peaceful mind before sleep. As the Stoics approached the end of their day, they would intentionally turn their minds toward wisdom, reflecting on their principles, what they had learned, and how they had applied their understanding. This wasn't a mental exercise meant to push them toward self-criticism or pride. Instead, it was a quiet acknowledgement of their growth, no matter how small, and a way to center themselves before the night took over. Think about this for a moment. Before you sleep, rather than diving into your mental to-do list, could you take a moment to reflect on something you've learned today? Something small that you can appreciate about yourself or the world around you. This is exactly what the Stoics did. Marcus Aurelius, for example, would often end his day by reflecting on the lessons learned and seeking comfort in the wisdom he had accumulated. His meditations were his private musings, reminding himself of what truly mattered. He was not concerned with judging himself, but rather with grounding himself in the wisdom that came from living each day mindfully. Historians still debate whether Marcus Aurelius used his reflections to correct his own actions, or simply to record his thoughts. But one thing is clear. For him, wisdom was about steady growth, not perfection. Before sleep, he reminded himself of this. By focusing on the wisdom he had gained, he released the tension of the day and moved closer to peaceful rest. This wasn't about achieving perfection. It was about acknowledging that every day was an opportunity to learn and grow, even if it didn't always go as planned. And you can do this too. As you prepare for sleep, think back to the small moments of growth in your day. Maybe you helped someone. Maybe you made a choice that aligned with your values. Or perhaps you simply recognized a moment of peace amidst chaos. Whatever it was, acknowledge it. This act of recognition doesn't just calm the mind. It fills it with a sense of satisfaction, knowing that you are on a path of continuous learning. This practice of reflecting on wisdom is powerful because it shifts your focus away from what you haven't done or what went wrong, and instead brings your attention to what you've learned, how far you've come, and how you've aligned with your principles. The Stoics believed that peace came from this kind of quiet affirmation. It wasn't about perfection. It was about being content with the steps you've taken, even if they were small. Now, as you relax even deeper, take a moment to reflect on your day. Think about the wisdom you've gained. Perhaps you handled a stressful situation with grace, or maybe you made a conscious choice to practice patience. Whatever it was, remember that these small moments of wisdom are valuable. The Stoics would say that this is what true peace looks like, recognizing your growth, regardless of how small, and carrying that with you into the quiet of the night. And with this reflection, you begin to understand that your journey of growth doesn't end with sleep. Sleep, for the Stoics, was just a continuation of their mindfulness, a time for the body to rest while the mind rested in the wisdom it had gained. It was a natural, peaceful process, a chance to pause and start again the next day with a clear mind. So now, as you breathe softly, reflect on your own moments of wisdom, knowing that this peaceful, reflective mindset will guide you into the deepest of sleep. As you now lie there, your mind peaceful, your breath steady, and your body relaxed, the Stoics would have recommended one final practice before drifting off into sleep: embracing a sense of gratitude. Gratitude, for the Stoics, wasn't about a surface-level appreciation of the good things in life. It was about a deep, reflective thankfulness for the simple moments and even the challenges they faced. Gratitude was a tool they used not only to improve their mood, but to cultivate a sense of contentment right in the moment. Before sleep, the Stoics would remind themselves of what they had to be grateful for, no matter how small. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote about the importance of recognizing the value of everyday things, like the people around him, the ability to walk, or the opportunities to learn. For him, gratitude wasn't reserved for only the great moments in life. It was about finding joy in the simple, sometimes even difficult, parts of the day. This act of gratitude before sleep, as simple as it may seem, was a powerful way to cultivate a sense of inner peace, leading to restful sleep. Gratitude before sleep also works wonders for your state of mind. When you consciously acknowledge the things that went well during the day, you naturally quiet the worries that might keep you up at night. Think about it. When you lie down, how often do you focus on what didn't go right, or what's still left to do? The Stoics would say this is a trap. The tendency to focus only on what's lacking, what's wrong, or what needs fixing. Instead, they would encourage you to focus on what went well, even if it was something small. It could be a kind word from a stranger, a task you completed, or even the simple fact that you were able to sit in peace for a moment. Historians still argue about the exact practices Marcus Aurelius followed before bed, but his writings give us a strong sense that gratitude was an essential part of his life. He understood that acknowledging what we have, even in the smallest ways, can help us release the tension of the day and settle into peaceful sleep. Gratitude doesn't just change our mindset for the night. It can change the way we approach our days. So, as you lie there now, think about the moments of gratitude you can recognize in your own life. Perhaps today you had a moment of peace, a smile from a friend, or an opportunity to do something good. Even if you didn't have the perfect day, can you find one small thing to appreciate? This isn't about big achievements. It's about the quiet, often unnoticed moments that contribute to your sense of well-being. When you bring your focus to gratitude, you shift away from the anxieties and frustrations that might linger. Instead, you embrace the peaceful satisfaction of knowing that today you did your best and you are enough. In this moment, you don't need to worry about tomorrow, and you don't need to dwell on what you can't change. Instead, you rest in the comfort of gratitude for the simple joys of today. As you continue to breathe slowly and deeply, let gratitude fill your heart. You are giving yourself permission to rest, to sleep, and to let go of the weight of the world. The Stoics knew that peace and gratitude could guide them into a restful sleep, and now you are embracing that same practice. And so, with a deep breath and a heart full of quiet thankfulness, let yourself drift into sleep. Remember that tomorrow is a new day, a new opportunity to grow and learn. But for now, let go, rest, and trust that your mind and body will recharge. Now, as the night continues, feel the peacefulness of this moment settle deeper into your bones. Sleep is here. It's not something to chase, it's something to allow. The Stoics would say that this is the true practice, to simply be at peace, knowing that tomorrow will come in its time, and you have done all that you could for today.